Welcome to Homeschool Help Desk. My name is Jana Cook, and I'm the Community Manager of Bookshark. In this session, I'm joined with Kathleen Cotter-Clayton from RightStart Math. We're going to talk today about the program, how it could be beneficial for your family, and how to get over some hurdles if you have the mindset that math just isn't your thing. Welcome, Kathleen.
Thank you, and welcome, Jana. Appreciate it.
I would like to start with you telling us a little bit about yourself before we get going into the subject.
Okay. I am the daughter of the founder of RightStart Mathematics. Dr. Cotter is, like I said, she's the one who developed the program. I do refer to her professionally as Dr. Cotter or Joan, because it's just not the same when I say, well, my mom says so. So don't think that we're some kind of weird family. Again, so I'm the daughter. She actually started this curriculum when her son, my brother, was having difficulties in math. So I was like I was probably about 10, well, maybe about 10 or 12 when she actually started with some of these ideas. A lot of the card games that we play were actually tested out on my sister and I. So especially summer times, we would sit and play the games because my brother has dyslexia and she wanted to make sure that the game was a good game before she would try it on my brother, because she always would tell us, if he learns something wrong, it'll be much harder for him to unlearn it. So we were the guinea pigs. I actually started with the company in the 1990s and then left for a couple years and then came back in the beginning of 2000 and have been with them ever since. And I do conventions. I manage the office. I'm the vice president of the company now. And I've started to write some books. I've written about 20 of the books, either co-authoring with Dr. Cotter, or some are kind of my own thing. I'm kind of flavoring them based on her work.
Well, so it sounds like it's a family business.
Definitely.
And you've been involved in it from its inception. So I think that you are the perfect fit to kind of talk to our audience about what RightStart Math is, its philosophy, and how it works.
Well, RightStart Math, the whole thing, like I said, started because my brother was having difficulties in math. And both she and my father, her husband, are engineers, and they've got this kid who's struggling with math. And they said, there's got to be something different. There's no reason why he can't be learning this. And so she started to take what we normally do and said, this isn't working. We've got to do something different. And from there, that was actually the beginning of the RightStart program. So the whole thing developed out of need. She just didn't sit down one day and say, I think I'm going to make a math program. It was, I need to solve a problem. We can try. Oh, that didn't work so well. We'll try this. Oh, that works good. Well, what if I do this? Oh, that's even better. And so it developed out of need. Interesting to look at her background. She is an electrical engineer, so she knows how math is applied. She's a certified Montessori teacher, so she knows how those little ones are thinking. Then that's during her Montessori time is when she actually started with some of the things that she was doing. And then she went, back up. She was working with the Montessori and developing different things. And then she started to realize that we've still got to do something different. So she went back and she got her master's in curriculum instruction and taught grades 6, 7, and 8. And that was a real exciting time. And it was a very difficult time because that's where she said, these guys, they're not getting it. We've got to do something different. So she went back to school again and went back to school again and got her PhD in mathematics education. Out of that, her doctoral dissertation came the RightStart Math curriculum. We currently have the second edition, and the second edition now is taking the first edition, and again, she's tweaking it. Whenever she finds something that there's new research, or there's a better way to do something, or we're finding that, okay, we could have done that better, she changes it. So one thing that I like is she's not holding on. She's not just like grabbing onto what she's done and said, I did this, it's right. She's very quick to say, I could do that better. And she does. And she changes things to fit with what the children need. So our philosophy is, what does the child need? How can we do it better? How can we teach them to be the best that they can be?
I think your mother's Dr. Cotter's philosophy of lifelong learning.
Yes.
Parent in her steps that she takes to constantly improve what she has built.
Yes.
And the idea to think outside the box, that something wasn't working. And so how do we fix it?
Right.
I might attribute that a little bit to that engineering ideas. But I think we're seeing a lot more of that in our society. We are all kind of being pushed out of our comfort zone. And so if we have that growth mindset of, okay, instead of this just being uncomfortable, how can we
Right.
get out of the box and improve the things? It doesn't have to be done the same way. And I think as an advisor for homeschool parents, that's one thing that I hear when we're advising about math. They say, okay, well, this Right Start math doesn't look the same way a traditional math program looks. And
It absolutely does not.
and that's on
And
purpose.
and that is on purpose, because you look at how many people, like if we were to just, poll the audience, how many of you like math? Maybe 50% are going to say it's okay.
Mhm.
A lot of people, and it's kind of sad that so many people are very confident and very willing to say, oh, I'm not good in math.
Mhm.
We would never say that about reading. I would never say, oh, I'm not good in reading. I don't do reading. You would never say that. You would hide that. But yet we're very comfortable saying, oh, I'm not good at math. We have to do it different than the way we've been taught. The way that you and I have been taught, 50% at best, like math and get math. So what? You want to take a 50-50 chance with your kids? I don't think so. I got 4 kids. I want all 4 of them to be spectacular in math. We need to do something different. And that's what RightStart does. It approaches it differently. The children coming out of this program are scoring twice as high as those who are taught a standard program. And honestly, like you said, it's different. So sometimes I, as an adult, will go, oh, what's that? Oh, that's weird. That's really, really weird. But just take a breath and learn with your child. And then you're going to realize yourself, oh, that's why we borrow and carry. Or, oh, now I get it. That's what we want. I mean, it's nice that you learn it. That's great. But we want your kids to know it. It's the kids that we're trying to be everything that they can be. And we've seen that. We've had parents say, I can't believe the math I've learned by going through RightStart, never mind what their children are doing.
And it's interesting that we want better for our kids, don't we? I mean, isn't that the goal as parents, as we want better for our kids than we had necessarily for ourselves and
Yes,
in all areas of life? When I'm
right.
talking again, advising homeschool parents, I like to say when they ask me about Right Start Math that I sat in an instructional class with you about your curriculum. And I said,
Mhm.
man, if I had been given Right Start as a child, I might be an engineer instead of an English major, because
Right.
it started to click. I'm like, why didn't anyone tell me that's how you could do it? I'm not horrible at math, but I don't have any advanced math. When I was in college, they found the lowest class to put me in so that I could say I had a college math
Right.
credit. And that was mathematical investigation. So it was just word problems. So good job, Jana.
Well, and an interesting point, when we did that training, if I remember correctly, it was about a what, 5-hour training? So what did you trigger in 5 hours? What could you have done in 5 years,
Right.
5 weeks, 5 months? That's where we want your kids. So is it different? Yes. And sometimes it's different enough you're like, oh, I have no idea. On the back of your book, there's a toll-free phone number. You call us. We've also got some videos that we've put together. We call them the overview videos. And what they do is they mark out every week what 4 lessons that you'll teach during the week. And we have 3 different people. We have Rachel, Debbie, and Teresa go through and say, okay, you're in level whatever, level A. These are the 4 lessons you could do this week. And then here, we're just going to talk about these. So it's kind of like the Debbie, Rachel, and Teresa. It's kind of like they become your big sister going, all right, Jana, this is what you got going this week with your kids, and watch for this. And when you need that, here's this. And let me show you an example of this. All right, honey, you got it. See you later. See you next week. And then next week, we have another video that will walk you through it.
I would say that's
So we have
probably
help for you.
unique to your program in the sense that a lot of parents, when they find a curriculum, then they feel all alone. They don't feel supported. They feel like, okay, now I better figure out how to do math so I can teach it to my
Right.
child. I better get better so that I can actually give them instruction in it. So to know that if someone is choosing your curriculum, they have support throughout their entire time in your program, I think is a definite plus to choosing
Yes.
RightStart.
And I like to think of it as we are now part of your team. So if you decide that Right Start is best for your family, your child, you are now part of our family. So you have a problem, you can call me up. And our customer service is homeschool parents who have been there, done that. They know all of this stuff. If you develop a relationship, we've got about 4 or 5 people that do it. If you develop a relationship with, for conversation, let's just say Allison, and you really like her and she gets you and you get her and she's not on the day you call, just say, can I talk to Allison? And we'll have Allison get back with you. And again, all of these people are still homeschooling their own children, which is why you're not going to be able to get them every day at every time. But if you have that relationship, we'll get Allison back to you. Then you guys can talk about it. If you stump those people, then you come to me. If you stump me, you go to Dr. Cotter. We have your back. We are part of your team. We are part of you. So you are ours. We are yours. Use us. We are here for it. If you want to call me 15 times a day, that's fine. That's what we're here for. I may not like you after 4 months of 15 times a day, but at that point, you're going to get where we're going. But you can call us. We don't say, "Ooh, sorry, Jana, we've talked to you too many times. You're going to have to call us next Monday." You can call us as often as you need to.
Well, and how unusual, honestly, for any company to have their customer service actually be immersed in the product at the same time, right? That's not
Yes.
something that you normally see, not even necessarily in homeschool curriculums. Will you see that who you're speaking to on the phone is actually using the product and has real life experience with their children?
Right. Yeah.
So,
And that's funny that you say that because to me, that's so logical. How else would you do it? I mean, how else would they know it? So to me, it's just kind of interesting that you're kind of saying, woohoo, and I'm going, what else would I do? It's kind of like even those of you that have an opportunity to see us at a convention, all of those people have been using RightStart. Otherwise, they cannot be in the booth with us. So we make sure that they have used it, they get it, and they may not get your child, but they're going to get your situation and they'll be able to work with it.
and as a homeschool parent myself, that's incredibly comforting. I don't want someone to just read off of a sheet because they've learned some information and
Right.
it's a question answer type of thing. Like, if it's A, then go to B and then give this answer. I want someone who's like, okay, yes, I understand where you're coming from. And I ran into
Mm-hmm.
that problem too. And this is how we fixed it. I love that just the problem solving, that you're going to somebody who you know
Mm-hmm.
is going to be able to give you valuable information. And when you're dealing with math, I think that's
Right.
very important because you miss one step. And
Yes.
and I'm constantly going over my daughter's math. I'm like, oh, see, if you miss this, then all underneath it is wrong too. And in math, if
Right.
it's wrong, it's wrong. There is
Right.
no talking your way out of it. So
Yes. Yes. And I agree. And the thing is we also don't just say, here's the final answer. You got it right or wrong. It's okay. You got it wrong. Why did you get it wrong? Like as our level, we have levels A through H. When you're done with H, you go to algebra. So A through F, A is kindergarten, F is kind of a 5th, 6th grade. And when you get to level G, then we give the manual to the students, the lesson book to the students. So they start teaching themselves. The parent still has the solution book, but the children have their own lesson book and they do the worksheets. And we've got some online classes for those level G and H kids. So again, they're still doing the work, but we have some teachers who facilitate it. But as I'm teaching those classes, I always tell the kids, okay, you got a wrong answer. Why did you get a wrong answer? Because if you don't figure out why you did it wrong, you will make that mistake again, I promise. But
mhm.
if you know that, I forgot to square it, or I forgot to add this, or forgot to divide by 2, I found my error. Now I know what not to do next time. I know that's a weak link. I always forget to divide by 2. Well, nope, now I remember that. So kind of what you're saying is you want to go back and say, what is the problem? Where did I make the mistake? Where was my faulty thinking? So that next time I won't make that same mistake.
Kathleen, you talked about the levels. So why don't you tell our audience how you would do a placement into your program with any child?
Okay, very good question. Level A is our kindergarten. It's our brand new, never been used child. Maybe they've dabbled in numbers a little bit. We always like to ask, have they had a solid kindergarten foundation? Have they, solid kindergarten curriculum? Yes or no? Can they add numbers up to 10? If the answer is yes, they've had a solid program, yes, they can add up to 10, then they can probably graduate out of BA and go into B. I really do not care how old the child is. I don't care if they're a 4-year-old or if they're an 8-year-old. If they have not passed level A, they need to be in level A. If then we go into B. B is going to be a kind of a first, second with a little bit of third grade in there. And that will be doing your addition, and up to 4-digit addition on paper. Level C is going to do subtraction, start multiplication. What is multiplication? I don't have to be really, really good in it, but I'm going to get some ideas. What is multiplication? Little bit of fractions. Level D, again, is kind of a third grade with a lot of fourth and some fifth in there. Again, don't get hung up on grades. I want to know where the child's at. Level D is going to do multiplication. It's going to do a whole lot more, but that kind of the main focus is multiplication, a little bit of division, a little bit of fractions. E is going to do more fractions and division. F is going to do higher level fractions. And then G and H basically take what they've learned in elementary, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, fractions, percents, decimals, and then we're going to apply it in G and H. H actually gets into some really cool stuff. The kids right now in class just got done learning trigonometry. When I learned trig, it was in college. It was something that they developed to torture me. They did a delicious job. It was horrible, absolutely horrible. I had no idea what trig was for. And then I saw it in level H and went, what? Oh, that's like really super awesome. And it's part of it is the way that, well, most of it is the way that we present it and then we apply it so we can see what the use is for it. And it's just fun to watch the children learn, well, and myself too, to see what we learn with it. So how to place a child, we have some placement tests on our website, and I think you guys do too, right, Jana?
Yep, you can go to
bookstart.com.
test is, yep, and put a place. We have a placement for you guys.
Yep. So we have that placement there. If you go through the placement and you're still thinking, should we be a C or a D? Call us or call Bookshark. Again, if you want to call us, I have absolutely no problem with you calling us, talking with us, and then going back and placing it with Bookshark. That's the point. We're perfectly fine with that. So don't think, well, they helped me out. No, go to Bookshark, place your order. That's what you're going to do. But then you've got all your orders in one spot. It makes perfect sense. We've got a history. So order through them. Even if you come to us for different things or look at our website, go back and order it with Bookshark. But you can call us, should it be a C? Should it be a D? And we can kind of go through. One question that I like to ask sometimes, if I've got someone who's really right between two levels, is I like to ask, is the child interested in math? Do they like math? Because if they hate math, capital blinking letters, I'd put them back a year. I put them back a level, because then it's kind of like putting them in the shallow end of the pool. We can kind of swim around in it, get used to it, get our face wet before I throw them in the deep end. But if they're liking math, they're confident, they're willing to take a risk, they're willing to take some challenges, then go ahead and put them in the deep end of the pool, put them in the slightly more advanced one. Again, this is only if they're just right between the two, because those kids are willing to take that risk and go beyond.
So you talked about how you present math. So give our audience maybe a little quick course on how RightStart presents math that is different from a traditional brick and mortar, this is how we've always done it kind of math program.
Very good question. We use an abacus to give the children a visual idea of their math. And I've got one here, and I think you can still see it in the screen. I'll leave it here so you can see it. We use an abacus. If you notice, they're grouped in fives. So when I put this number on, actually, I've got it backwards. Sorry, I'm so used to doing this upside down. When I put this here, you could quickly see that I have 5 and 3 and 2 more. So you can see that it's 7. I don't have to count that it's 7.
Mm-hmm.
So this would be how many?
9.
9. You don't have
Mm-hmm.
to count. You can see
Right.
I've got 5 and 4 more is 9. Now, once I recognize the numbers, I can start to do things like 4 plus 3 equals, oh, I've seen that before, it's 7.
Mm-hmm.
It's not 4 plus 3 is 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't have to count. I can see it. Now, I'm going to leave leave the 7 on here. I'm going to put a 6 on this line. When I add these two together, can you see the answer?
Immediately 13.
Look at my blue piece.
Yeah.
Where do you see 13?
5 and 5 is 10, and 3 more is 13.
Right? Right. And you don't really have to think about it. Your eyeballs can see it. You don't even have to go, oh, well, it's just, you can see I've got 10 and 3 more.
Mm-hmm.
Let me do another one real quick here. Let's do 8 plus 6. Answer is
14.
10 and 4,
Yeah.
14.
Yeah.
So humans are visual thinkers. We're not necessarily visual learners, but we're visual thinkers.
Mm.
So for example, if I ask you, what does your kitchen look like? You see it. You don't have to go, just a second, I'll be right back. You know, you can see it. You know what it looks like. Same thing here. So if I ask the child what 8 plus 6 is, I will see this once I've done it enough. You know, some kids maybe need to do this for a day. Some kids need to do it for a month. That's fine, whatever. But to get to the point where somebody says 8 plus 6, and I actually see it this way. Again, I was taught the traditional way because I'm Dr. Cotter's first child. They just got better after me. But this is, 8 plus 6 is why I figured we made calculators. I now can add 8 and 6 because I literally will see this in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we want the kids to do, is to be able to see it. To me, that's just so neat to be able to see it like that.
It is fascinating.
Yep. Now, another thing that we do that's different is we will have the children, this number would be how many?
10.
10.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to, and what would this be?
20.
20. But we're going to actually, for a short spell, not always, but just for a short spell, we're going to call this 210. Because that's what it is. It's 10. There's 2 of them, 210. Now, its real name is 20s. You're not going to be the weird, freaky people. We're going to come back to calling it 20, but for a short spell, we're going to call this 210. So this would be, say it the math way,
310.
310. So this would be 310.6. Now, where this becomes handy with this math way of saying the numbers, if I may go backwards, if I know that 4 plus 3 equals 7, what do you think 410 plus 310 is? What do I have? I have 5 and 2 more. I have 710. 4 plus 3 is 7. 410 plus 310 is 710. So what do you think 400 plus 300 is? It'd be 700. And what's 4,000 plus 3,000? 7,000. What's 4 million plus 3 million? You have a pattern. But actually, I'm going to tell you real quick, a quick story about my son. When he was little one time, he knew the math way of saying the numbers. And he said, well, Mama, what's 4 infinity plus 3 infinity? 7 infinity, don't tell the other kids. Because he got the idea of the pattern. But so often in our language, when we say 30 plus 40 is 70, there's really not a lot of patterns, pretty muddy. So if there's not a pattern in the 40 plus 30, why would there be in the hundreds? When in fact, it's just the numbers from 11 to 99 that we have all confused because of our language. So we have the children actually become bilingual, and they learn that the other name for 37 is 310.7. 49 is also 410.9. So that I can start to help them understand the way the numbers are put together. Now, like I said, your kids are not going to be doing this forever. They're not going to go off to college going, hey, Mom, I need $610. They're going to come back to saying I'll need 60. They know their numbers. Speed limit is 55, but they know this, but they know what 55 is not just a word. It means it's 5, 10, 5. When my older son was about, I think he was about 3.5 or 4 years old, he knew the math way of saying the numbers. And we were driving one time and it was dark. So the speedometers lit up and it was, the old fashioned one with didn't have the numbers, but I had the thing. And Jonathan looked at the speed limit, which said 55. And he looked at the speedometer and said, Mommy, Daddy's going too fast. I said, well, how do you know that? And he said, well, the speed limit is 5:10.5. Daddy's going 6:10. And he was right. Daddy was speeding. But see, he knew the way the numbers went together. Would he know that 55 is less than, or 60 is less than, excuse me, saying it backwards. Would he know that 60 is more than 55? Maybe, maybe not.
Mm-hmm.
So we say the numbers differently, but there's a reason for it. It shows the children how the numbers are put together. So is it different? Yes, but it is extraordinarily powerful. And we're going to come back to saying the numbers the traditional way.
So when you were explaining that, I immediately thought of my 11-year-old daughter who is struggling with multiple digit multiplication. And if she were to understand that 59 is 5:10.9, when she's going to multiply, instead of missing those space to take the ones place, because she's already thinking I'm multiplying by 50, not 5 for my second digit.
Right.
I mean,
right.
It just makes sense.
Yeah. It's because it's not 5 times 2, it's 50 times 2,
Right.
which would be 100.
Right.
Yes.
We could have avoided a lot of tears over
and again, it's just an understanding thing. Sometimes I have older children that will balk at this math way of saying the numbers. I explain it this way to the kids. My kids call me mama. That's my name. But if they get lost in, Walmart or Target, they don't just say, well, mama, please come up to the front. Because, all the moms are going to come up. But if we say, well, Kathleen, please come up to the front, there might be 2 of us trotting our way in. So it's the same thing. Its real name is 49, just like my real name is Kathleen, but the special name is 4:10.9, just like the special name is mama.
Wonderful. Pause for just a second. My computer is requiring something from me, and I don't want to lose our recording. Hold on.
Okay. Got to make sure you wear a stretchy shirt for that now.
Okay. Sorry.
You have to wear a stretchy shirt to be able to get it up and around. And
okay.
You look nice.
Thank you.
And thank you, Mr. Editor.
Yes. He's gotten to know me really well. Yeah. He knows all my quirks. All right. All right. I'm going to jump in and ask you about workload.
Yes. Okay.
All right. So you've already explained that it's going to look different. There's even going to be some special ways to say things in RightStart Math that other programs wouldn't necessarily use this type of terminology. Let's talk about workload. As a homeschool parent and I was homeschooled as a child, sometimes it's hard for parents to understand that if something doesn't take the dedicated 45 minutes to an hour time slot that they're traditionally used to being either in school or that's how they did it. So when we think about RightStart and the workload, can you go ahead and explain to parents what that's going to possibly look like day to day as they move through your levels?
Good question. All of our lessons start out with, here's your objectives. If it says I'm going to introduce something, there's going to be errors. If it says I'm going to master something, we should have minimal, if no errors. So pay attention to the verb that's used with your objective. So now you know what we're teaching for the day. Then it'll tell you materials, and then it'll start out with your activities. It'll have all the activities. When we want you to say something, it's going to say, blah, 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 ask, blah, blah, blah. And then we always give you the answer at the end. So it's kind of silly when it's, the levels A or B, when it says 4 plus, what does 4 plus 3 equal? And then we tell you the answer at 7. But it's really helpful once you start to get into the higher levels. It's like, thank you for the answer. We appreciate it. So we're going to tell you what to say, what to ask. We're going to give you the answers. It's going to map you as the parent all the way through it. So you're going to have your activities on one side, and on the other side, you're going to have explanations. The explanations are going to be why you're doing what you're doing, what's the research behind it, what if your child's having difficulties, what if your child's gifted. So it'll be just kind of an odd collection of who, what, and where's. I'm one of the proofers, and then I started to write, I think at level D, E, and F, I started to do some more writing. But a lot of times as we're going through it and Dr. Cotter's writing something, and I will proofread it or read, work with her on it. And sometimes I'll say, well, why are we doing that? She's like, well, well, I know, but Jana doesn't know. So she writes down the little thing. It doesn't say, dear Jana, but it'll tell you that you're doing this because of this, or here's the research because of that. So she tries to give you the documentation, the reasoning, why you're doing something that's different with the research, or, whatever it is that she's finding. And then at the end of the lesson, there's going to be an in conclusion. The in conclusion is going to be a review of the day, or it's going to be a higher level thinking question. If it's a higher level thinking question and the kids don't get it, that's okay. We'll touch on it another day. That's just something for them to think about. So when you're done with math class and they're going, well, why would, if I double it and if I do that, so maybe at bedtime they'll come up with the answer, or maybe the next day, or maybe they don't. That's fine. We'll deal with it, but it just gives them something to think about. Incorporated in there in levels A and B, you'll be doing a worksheet maybe once a week, if that. We're like, oh, you only do it once a week? How are the kids supposed to practice their facts? We have card games. We're going to be playing card games probably 4 times a week. You can play them 7 days a week if you want to, but the lesson's going to say, go play this game. And it'll tell you what game to play, where to find it, and go play that particular game. We say 10 to 15 minutes of a game is the same thing as a worksheet. So if your lesson takes you, and most people tell us about 20 to maybe 30 minutes to do the lesson, depending upon your day, the child, the topic, the wind speed, we all know how that works. Some days just take longer. Some days just go super fast. But it's going to take you, again, about 20 to 30, maybe 40 minutes. It shouldn't take that long, but sometimes it will. But it's going to take the time to teach the lesson. Then you've got time to play your game. Now, if you're tired or you've got more kids that you need to school, when dad comes home or when a big sister or brother comes home, have them play the card games with the child. The older ones are learning. The older ones are reviewing. The little ones are learning. So we're going to play those games. So the games become the worksheet as they're doing it. And it's fun. You're doing math in a social setting. Also, and I think this is really important, it gives the children a reason to want to learn their facts. Because if they have the opportunity to beat daddy or to beat Grammy or to beat, the big brother, they are all over that. They care. I was told a story once about a little boy, mom, I don't remember, I think he was working on his multiplication facts. So he's probably, 7, 8, 9, somewhere in there. And mom had tucked him into bed, and the whole thing, okay, good night, kiss, kiss. And she went a little bit later and checked on him. He was under the covers with a flashlight, working on his multiplication facts so that he could play a game later in the day and beat his brother. Okay, I told you to go to bed, but what an awesome problem to have your kids staying up late to work on their multiplication facts. You can't do that unless you've got that excitement, that joy, the desire. And that's what the games do, is they provide this for the children.
I love when you said that you can break up the lesson from the game, because the kids think the lesson's done, right? We close our book, math's done, but it's almost like that same concept of sneaking vegetables in, either with fruit or with sweets, right? They don't even realize it. If you say, okay, now we're going to do more math, as in my house, it'd be like, oh, didn't we already do that today? But if, hey, we're going to play a card game. Oh my gosh, everybody in my house would run to do it. But the fact that they're actually continuing on their lesson and learning math. We were just talking about game schooling on our Facebook page the other day.
Yes,
and RightStart came up because that's exactly what a lot of the program is you're playing games as you're learning the concepts. And instead of it being drill in, you better know this, you got that one wrong. Well, if you get it wrong in a game, you lose, right? Or you go back a space, or whatever the game is.
Or somebody catches you. Or somebody catches you. Now, one thing that I do that just kind of brings up an interesting point. So let's say that I'm the older child playing with you, the younger one. You're little Miss Smarty Pants. I'm not that good with it. And I make a mistake. Well, Miss Smarty Pants just caught me on that one. But the way I tell those older kids, because they already know they're struggling, but take them aside and say, you know what, if that happens, just tell your little sister that you were just checking to see if she was paying attention. Because that way I get immediate feedback. Oh, 4 + 3 is not 12. I get immediate feedback because you corrected me, but now, oh, it's 7. Oh, yeah, well, I got a 7. I was just seeing if you were paying attention. I've saved face, I've learned, and I'm still having fun. One other thing that I wanted to point out too, we talked about the lessons and breaking them out. If you get a child, we're going through the lesson and the child has checked out for whatever reason, we are done. Put a little stop, put a little marker here, put a little note, put a little sticky note, whatever, and then just stop, close the book, go play a game, go do something different, whatever it might be. And then the next day, open your book back up, go to that marker and just keep going.
Why do you
Just
think
because
that's so hard for us? Why do you think as homeschool parents that's, and maybe not for everybody, but I'll tell you for me, I'm like,
oh yeah,
if you didn't get it, we can't just stop. Like you got to get it done.
yeah,
It's like this internal struggle
I
on
am
my
giving you
part.
permission.
Okay.
I'm giving you permission to stop when you need to, because the thing is I can keep yammering on to you over and over and over. And the only thing you're doing is, wow, I wonder if she's done talking yet. Why waste your time? Why waste the child's time?
Mm-hmm.
Or if you've got a child who's got some activity issues, maybe they just want to run,
Mm-hmm.
have them do something like, all right, what is 23 + 17? Go run around the table and come back and give me the answer.
Mm-hmm.
And the kids, as they're zipping or they're running, their little legs are going and they can be thinking, come back. Okay, what was the problem again?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we've dealt with their twitchy issues. One of the things I'm thinking about it too, this is kind of fun to kind of download all this stuff, is nobody says you have to teach at the table.
Mm.
You can sit on the floor. You can sit outside. There's nothing that says you have to do it inside at a table where the kid is just over there just twitching and they can't get out. They got to go and, no, let them run, let them move, let them stand on their head and answer the questions. I know of a friend of mine who had a twitchy child, and the child was actually on the stairs, feet upstairs, head downstairs, and mom was at the landing teaching. So the kid spent so much energy just trying to not slide downhill. Okay, fine.
Mm-hmm.
But they were able to still school, and we were able to keep their hands and body busy and their mind at the same time. So especially for young ones, we really like to see you sitting on the floor playing the games with the kids and teaching the lessons on the floor. It's where they want to be. So go there.
So for parent workload, because I think sometimes when you were speaking about the worksheet and people are like, oh, only once every 4 days, like, what am I supposed to do with my child? And parent workload in your program is you go through the lesson, however long or short that takes you, and you do it in whatever form your child is willing to participate in it. So it's not, I hear so many times people say, oh, well, this program is heavy on the parent interaction. As opposed to being, okay, here's your concept. Now go do your worksheet. And then when you've gotten half of it wrong, and I have to go over it with you anyways. And so now you've taken even more of my time, I can simply and quickly go over the lesson, and then we can stop and then either play a game immediately or move on and then come back and play a game. So really comparatively, I think when I hear that complaint possibly again, I'll be able to quickly correct their thinking and say, I would have you look at this a little bit closer, because I don't think it's as much involvement as you're making it out to be.
Right. There used to be in our first edition, which you can get in a few situations. Most people have switched over to the second edition. In the first edition, there was a bit of a complaint that there's things in the back that you may have to photocopy, cut out. Okay, I understand that. Well, we could do it for you, but then it's going to cost more. Okay, we don't want that. Never mind. But second edition, we heard you. And as a quick side note, we do all of our own printing in-house. So we are very quick to adapt to fit a change. There's a better way to do something, we adapt it immediately. We also have our corrections online. So if there's something where we did make a mistake, we have that on there. But with second edition, we heard you and we said, Okay, anything that needs to be photocopied, here it is. So we call it the appendix packet. So if it's something in the appendix page that you don't need to photocopy and cut out, it's not in the appendix packet, because you can just flip to the back of the book, go to the appendix page, and there it is. But if it's something you need to photocopy, we've done that for you. I realize you have a photocopier, most people do, but we've done it for you. It's one less thing to have to go, oh, where's the paper? And oh, they want it with cardstock. Oh, they want 3 different colors. We've done it all for you. So we try to make it as easy as we can for you. When there is situations where you have to cut things out, or maybe you have to prepare a little something, it's not much usually. At the end of the lesson, flip to the next page and look and see, what are my materials? Oh, I have to go to appendix page. Oh, I've got to cut out, appendix page 5. And that's something you can do in the evening while the kids are in bed. As you're talking with your spouse, there's no reason why you can't just do that real quick, or have the older kids do it. So there really isn't a lot of prep time. Most people, once they become comfortable, and when I say that, that's anywhere from usually a couple days to maybe a couple weeks, will just open the book. They'll look at it and say, okay, honey, grab the abacus. Oh, we need the math balance. Oh, color tiles. Yeah, we're good. Okay. And start teaching. And basically you just follow along, do what it says, read what it says.
Good. Well, I think that will help put some parents at ease as they're looking at, anytime you're shipped curriculum and it's a big box, anything new is overwhelming.
Right.
And so that's a great explanation. What about if you've had parents call up or talk to you about your program? Here are some questions that I think would come immediately to mind. Does it align with Common Core?
That's a very good question. RightStart began in 1990. Actually, I should bet the mid 1990s. It became available to homeschoolers in 2001. Common Core did not exist. That was our first edition in 2001. That meets Common Core. Now, we did not write it for Common Core. We wrote it because we want to teach the children. So when we did second edition, we looked at it and said, okay, we're going to do what we've been doing. Does it meet Common Core? Yes, but we wrote it for the child so that we can teach the child. So when you look at, does it meet Common Core? So if you want it to, yes, it does. If you don't want it to, and you don't want to do something that's Common Core, then you're going to have to not do some of the lessons. I'm thinking, why? Just do the lessons. But it's not just Common Core. We do what's proper for the child. So back to level B, this is where they're learning to do their addition. About halfway through the program, they're adding 4-digit numbers. In Common Core, that's a 3rd grade behavior. We do it in our level B, which we kind of consider a 1st grade. So if we were Common Core, we would not do it. So are we Common Core? Yes. Are we Common Core? No. Do we care about Common Core? We don't care about Common Core, because this is going to rotate and we're going to be something else. And when that rotates, will be something else. We care about the children, that they learn the proper things in the proper time with understanding and being able to apply it and enjoy math. So our concern is the child. We are not concerned about the standards.
I think that leads into my next question. When parents are concerned, if they use your program, are they guaranteed, maybe is not the right word, can they rest assured that their child is on grade level if for some reason they need to go back into a public school system?
Very good question. If they are tracking, so they're doing level A in kindergarten, level B in 1st grade, C in 2nd, all the way, they will be a half a year to a year ahead of where they've been. So this affords you the time to take your child. So let's just, I think you said you had an 11-year-old. Let's just say you're 11-year-old and not picking on girl, right? Not picking on your daughter, but let's just say that we test her and she needs to go back into level C, which we consider 2nd grade. Now, by the way, it's level C because she's cute. It's level D because she's darling. It's level E because she's excellent. It's not because, oh my goodness, we're going to do 2nd grade work, you poor dim child. Mm-hmm. So with the grades, the letters are chosen to mask the grades because, again, I want to know what's best for your daughter. So let's just say that she's on task and she's doing kindergarten and A in kindergarten, B1, C2, and you have to, for whatever reason, go back into the school system or choose to, or, whatever, you're back in the school system, she will be ahead. So even if you're running a year behind, so let's just take your 11-year-old, we put her back into C. So 11-year-old should be what, about sixth grade?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we put her in level C, which would be second grade, but it's got a lot of third and some fourth. And she's supposed to be in sixth. So
Mm-hmm.
what I would do in that case is I would do level D, and I would actually work through the summer. Let's do this, dear. And each level, except well, most of the levels are about 140 lessons. We have 180 school days. So with some diligence and some hard work, there is no reason why we can't catch your daughter up in probably, I'm going to say year, maybe 2 years. We'll have her back to where she should be.
Okay.
Now, let's just say that we take your 11-year-old and she's sixth grade. So she'll be starting algebra in 3 or 2 years, depending. And we do level C, D, E, F. And she doesn't have time because now she's an 8th grader going into algebra. She's finishing with F. It's not ideal, but it is very doable to go from level F to high school algebra and not do G and H. It's not somewhere where we want the kids to go, but if she has run out of time, I would rather she skip G and H, go from level F into high school algebra, and now she's right on task with her peers. So there's ways to adapt it. Go ahead.
The heart of the program is really to capture where your child is and make sure they have a solid foundation.
Yes.
In math.
And we actually have a new book. We have a tutoring series that's just going to be coming out. It'll be about a month from now. We'll start to see them, but they are tutoring books. So they are for a child. Let's just say your daughter, she's doing okay, but there's some holes. You can take these tutoring books and just do that topic. We have a new one's coming out called, well, actually they're all new, but it's going to be called RightStart Tutoring Number Sense. And that's going to start with, what are the numbers? How do these go together? How do I do my addition, subtraction? Why do I borrow and carry? I don't get this. That's number sense. We have one called fractions. So it basically takes you from what's a fraction all the way to dividing fractions. Again, it's not a full curriculum. It's just a tutoring intended to kind of fill some of those holes that might be happening. We've got another one for money. We have another one for clocks. And they're all game-based. All of these will play a game every day. The number sense one has no worksheets. Now, you're going to be writing things down and doing them, but there's no worksheets to take an 11-year-old backwards and let's just kick her while she's down. We're not doing that. We're saying, here, let's go do this. Let's play a game. Let's practice it this way. Same thing with the fractions. The fractions has, I think it's like 18, 17 worksheets, but they're not worksheets like drill. They're more worksheets where you're exploring. And the clocks and the money have no worksheets. It's all game-based. So it's an application for what they're learning.
Well, what a wonderful product, because I do know that for parents who have been pandemics homeschooling, if you will, they're themselves seeing the holes and the gaps in their child's learning that they were unaware of. So to know that there are some resources that, okay, maybe we don't need to go all the way back to C, but we could fill in some holes. This product sounds like it's an excellent way to do that, especially if you're doing it in the summer, because you are playing games.
Right.
So they don't have to feel like, I never get a break from math. My mom always makes me do math.
Right. No, we're just playing games. And again, too, this, like I had said initially, this is what my sister and I did every summer. Every day we got up, we had breakfast, we played a couple games, and then we went out and, whatever, rode our horses, went swimming, whatever you do during the summertime. But every day we played games. And all of us, including my brother, who had challenges when this whole thing started, we are all very good in math. Both my sister and brother are engineers. I'm the oddball. I'm the only one in the family who's not an engineer. I would have made a dandy engineer, but I didn't. So, but we're all very good in math. And I attribute a lot of that to, we had the joy, we had the fun of math. We learned to play with it.
I think that falls into the very idea of the natural approach, right? Whether it's literature-based learning or it's gaming in math, it's just a natural way to learn something that doesn't feel like drudgery.
Right. Exactly. We bring the fun into it. I mean, there's nothing more fun than watching your kids playing a game and falling over laughing. They're having so much fun with it. That's what we want. That's what math should be. It's something that was given to us as humans. It's a joyful thing. It's a happy thing. It's an exciting thing. And we need to give that to our kids.
Well, I hope
And
our
that's what
listeners,
RightStart does.
when they walk away, just remember you saying that math is a joyful thing.
Yes,
Because I
very
think
much so.
that would be if you were to poll most people, I don't think that joy and math tend to be synonymous.
Right.
But
But
I
they
would,
should be. It's
right.
there. It is. It was given to us as humans. There's actually a department in your brain, a compartment that's just math related. There's no English part of your brain or literature. But there is a math. So our brains, we have the capability to do it. Now we just make sure that we teach it to the children so that they can develop and be the best that they can be and enjoy it. It may not be their absolute most favorite subject, but I want it to be so that if a child says, Mama, I want to be a veterinarian. Okay. Instead of saying, well, I'd really like to be a veterinarian, but there's a lot of math. I'm going to go do something different. Well, that's sad.
Right.
That's what we need. We need our kids to be better than we are. They got a lot of things they got to solve. So we need them to be better. Math is part of that. There's very few professions that doesn't require math.
Try telling my 15-year-olds that.
Yeah. Well, we live in a rural area and we have a lot of farmers, and I hear a lot, well, I'm just going to be a farmer. I don't need it. Well, what do? Do you just mix the seed in until it's thick enough? And then, or do you, if you're putting chemicals on, do you just mix it till it's a neat shade of blue? No, you don't. It's very careful how you do it. How do you put it together? How much fertilizer? You just don't do it because I'll just wing it. No, it's very precise to get the best results. So math is used in everything. Everything.
I agree 100%. Before I let you go, I would love for you to speak to maybe that small percentage of people who are listening to what we're saying and they're getting on board and they're like, yes, this gaming with math and making it fun and math synonymous with joy. Would there be a particular student where RightStart might not be a good fit?
We've never had a student that it doesn't work for. Sometimes we have parents it won't work for. If you've got a child that is having some struggles, maybe they've got some learning challenges or they've got something else going on, call us and talk to us. You're the parent. You know what's best for your child. We can help you modify or tweak something to fit your child. Whether, again, because they're gifted or because they've got challenges or because they've got ADD or whatever the reason is, they need to have this. RightStart will work for every child, but now we need to make it fit your child and we need to make it fit you as the parent. So what can we do? And that's where I come back to call us. Again, if it has to be 15 times a day, super, we'll become besties. I'm perfectly fine with that because we want your child to be everything that they can be. We want them to understand, apply, and enjoy mathematics.
One last thing to parents who may say, this all sounds great, I'm excited, I want to sign up, and then they see cost.
Yes.
And that just speak to the initial cost of RightStart and what that looks like over the longevity of your program.
Very good question. And that is something that we have struggled with because to do it, you need your lesson book, your worksheet, and the appendix pages. We sell that as a book bundle. That's $90.75. Then you need your materials. You need your abacus. You need your math balance. You need your cards. You need, all the things. There's about 25 different things that you need. We have done everything we can to chisel that price right down, but it still is going to cost money. It's $209. Ouch. Plus the book bundle. Ouch, ouch. But it's a one-time investment. You only need one math set for your household. I don't care if you've got kids going through, all the levels, or you got one kid going through. Every child starting from A all the way to F And then when you do G and H, you just need 2 more additional things. Like it's like $20. So it basically doesn't count. But basically that math set will take you from kindergarten all the way up to high school algebra for as many kids as you feel like running through it. So I remember I was talking one time to 2 people at a convention, and I was talking to 2 moms, and the 2 dads were just kind of hanging out, just, talk. And they were like, oh, that's a lot of money. And the one dad kind of went, yeah, but think of the scholarships the kid's going to get.
It's a small price to pay.
Exactly. And the thing is yes, you could maybe get a worksheet based program. Are you going to get that joy? Are you going to get that excitement? Are you going to get that understanding? This program, remember, is developed by an engineer and a Montessorian. So she knows how your little ones are thinking. She's taught grades 6, 7, and 8, and she's got that PhD. She knows what needs to be done. We have chosen these manipulatives very carefully so that it's the best that we can do. We keep our costs, and actually we're holding our costs again this year. We got some issues going on, but we think we'll be able to kind of work those prices down to hold it and keep it, because we want your kids to have this ability. We don't want money to be a factor. We want this to look at it and say, okay, I'm going to bite the bullet. I'm going to invest. But then the next year's all you need is your next book bundle. And if you've got multiple kids coming up, once you have the book bundle, all you need is the worksheet. Mm-hmm. So it becomes, it's that initial investment. And then after that, it'll just kind of glide its way through.
Well, hopefully that will put parents' mind at ease when they're considering what math curriculum to put their child in, that for an initial cost, that it will run the longevity of your program for multiple children. So that does make it a much more reasonable amount when parents look at those costs. Kathleen, I want to thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. I'm going to add in one more quick thing regarding the cost. I just want to add this in. For those of you, especially if you're a pandemic homeschooler and you know you're only going to do this for a year or 2, or maybe just even a year, our materials, our books and materials have a very high resale value. So you can put them and sell them online and get a good chunk of your money back, because people are always looking for, well, can somebody have it less expensive? So keep that in mind, that you will be able to sell it. Even if you go long-term, when you're done, sell it. Mm-hmm. We're perfectly fine with that. And you're more than welcome to even sell it on our website. I don't know how Bookshark does it, but we are fine with that, because again, we want these children to have that ability to learn their math and love it.
And I think the heart and the mission of your program is very evident, not only through how you're talking, but the philosophy behind the program and the constant looking at how things can be done better. You guys, like I said in the beginning, it falls right into that growth mindset, that lifelong learning. And if you want your child to learn math from someone who has that kind of perspective, so that it overflows out of them down into your children, so that they can receive the idea of math equaling joy. I think the job is well done. So thank you very much.
Good. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Jana. I appreciate it.
Thank you guys for joining our session. We look forward to the next one.